I hope you're doing well. I'm Katrina. This is Sow and Tare, and this is this is it. um, we usually have a Monday Night Live angle. You guys here? We usually have a Monday Night Live, 6 p.m. Pacific time. Not in the kitchen, but today we are in the kitchen. So we are going to start off here with um, some marshmallows. So um, Katrina's Kits is something that is a membership for this channel, and I'm going to put this link here. It's also the join button down below on any of the videos. There's also a link in the description. And if you want to do what we did yesterday, then that is where you go to sign up. So it's super affordable and super fun. And so I wanted to pull you guys in on this on our taste test. So I'm going to have PJ's going to come up here. If I don't think I saw any other Katrina's Kits in the chat, but if there are other Katrina's Kits that show up, you guys are welcome to join. There is a post that I did that only you guys can see, so that's where the link is. And PJ's internet's good. How you doing, PJ?
Good. How are you?
Internet's still out?
Can you hear me?
Maybe the internet's out. Oh, I can't hear you. Okay, I'm going to go through this. If you talk, then that's good. But if we can't hear you, then that's fine too. We can see you. All right, I'm gonna go in the chat real quick. Welcome everybody. All right, Verna's eating dinner. All right. PJ's here. You are right there. Oh, okay. Dawn's here. Cajun stuff with chicken noodles. That sounds good. Sounds good. And PJ, hopefully your internet gets fixed soon. Oh my gosh, Dawn has Parmesan chicken from scratch on gluten-free noodles. My goodness. My goodness. All right, PJ, you have your hot chocolate ready? I see a mug in front of you. All right. Let's see. Buster's here. Hi, Buster. I just want to get everybody. All right. Verna says, Katrina, isn't any of the kids going to join you? Yes, PJ's here. We don't know if we're going to be able to hear her. She got robotic at the end of it yesterday. Yeah, that's okay. Hey, Carl. Welcome, welcome. Pad Thai, and you didn't invite me? So, first of all, we made two different kinds of marshmallows. We made one with egg whites and one without egg whites. Both of these, unfortunately, do have the light currant corn syrup, except for PJ, you made one out of agave syrup, right? If we can hear you, what was that like? Uh-oh, you're frozen. Oh, I hear you laughing. All right, so she made it out of agave. It worked. I am heating up some hot chocolate. I wanted to share with you guys. Some of you may not know how easy homemade hot chocolate is. If you have a double boiler, that's a good way to do it. That way you don't burn the milk. And I don't have a double boiler, but I actually do. So this is a pot. It has water in it that is simmering. It just needs to steam. A metal bowl with a metal bottom, and I have a lot of milk in there. So once that gets a little bit warm, it's warming up. I'm just going to put some semi-sweet chocolate chips in. You can use powdered cocoa. You can use baking chocolate. I mean, this is baker's chocolate. It's just in chocolate chip form. If you use unsweetened baker's chocolate, you can add sugar, add honey, add whatever sweetness you want. And I just kind of guess. That was maybe too much, but that's okay. We have more milk. And if you make too much, you can put it in the refrigerator after it's cooled down. So that's going to sit there while every once in a while I'm going to stir it. We're going to test the marshmallows, not only taste, but also their meltability and this marshmallow likeness for homemade. And I just realized I put this in here and I washed the this. All right. So we're gonna let that go. I just turn it down, and we're gonna start getting these out. So PJ already tested hers. I'm gonna start with the one with the egg whites, and I think I should have dusted the sides. That's not what the recipe said, but we're gonna go for it. For this one, we are making sure I do the right one for the right one. Yeah, dust the top and use a pizza cutter or scissors, dusted as well. With the marshmallow mix, does anybody have a guess what the marshmallow mix is? This powder that goes on top? Anybody? I can't read while I do this. All right. So this is dusted. This is basically preventing it from sticking to the cutting utensil, which I think I'm just going to use this knife. I was going to use this for the other one, but that's okay. So I have a neighbor that, I don't know, I can actually dust this. It's not pulling on. It's okay. I had a neighbor where I used to live, and they would always make marshmallows for Christmas for gifts, and this is where I was like, oh hey, I want to do this. I know it's easy. I just don't know how. I think I'm just gonna dip this knife. You can see it added on moisture once I cut through it. And it's super easy to make. So if you guys want to experience what the Katrina's kids experienced yesterday, you could actually join and actually you'll be able to rewatch any of the videos that we've already done. And obviously it's not live again, but it will be entertaining and informational, and it's just good to get together. So I guess I don't have to cut them all right now, right? Okay. So I'm cutting them big marshmallow size. Go ahead. Was that Pete? Oh, I lost you again. Okay. So that's enough for testing. This other one, you're supposed to, wait, we're supposed to dust it first. Loosen with a spatula. Turn the marshmallows out onto a cutting board. Dust with a little more of the mixture. So did anybody guess the mixture? Oh yeah, so PJ, you can type too. Let's see. Ooh, Dawn had kettles of hot chocolate for skiers. That's awesome. Yes, PJ did cut hers. Yep, so you should always dust marshmallows so they don't stick together. Absolutely. So, Verna, I'm following the recipe. We have two different recipes, and the instructions for this one says to oil the knife. But first, we had dusted this. We had oiled the pan and then dusted it with that mixture. And that is something that works with cakes, with if you dust it with flour, or I don't know if I've ever seen that happen with breads, but yeah. No, PJ's not on mute. Hi, my mom. PJ's internet isn't working. Great. I heard something. So we're just loosening it from the edges here, and you'll see how with that dusting, how easy it's going to come out. We had a mishap, didn't we, PJ? Me had a mishap and learned how easy it was to come out. I tried putting it in the pan before I put vanilla in. Man, that comes out so slick. All right, so for this one, we're supposed to use an oiled knife. And I forgot I washed all of my knives in the dishwasher clean. At least they're clean. Oh, PJ can't type because you're on the phone. That's right. That's right. Duh, because your internet went out. All right, so the secrets to things not sticking to a knife when you cut them, and this is for a whole host of things, is one, either coat it with oil or coat it with whatever, flour or powdered sugar or whatever you're using. So what I'm going to do, I just put some, that's avocado oil. You can use any kind of oil. I'm just going to put oil on here. And I may have to re-oil it. But it wants me to dust it first. Sorry, I can't read when I'm doing this. All right, we've dusted, we've oiled, and now we're going to cut. The other one works better for the other kind. Now, these are different recipes, so they're going to act differently too. So, okay, PJ can't talk, but did you oil or did you powder before you cut them? No, you don't oil. You put one finger up for oil and two fingers for powder. You're not gonna powder. Okay. You like the party game? This one's definitely being a little booger to cut this way. But it's also a much different texture. Okay, I don't need to cut the whole thing. Cut a few of them. And we're supposed to toss them, both of them, in the same what's it called? Marshmallow something. To coat, basically, so that they don't stick to each other. And I'll do that with these. The first ones are much more fluffy. All right. So these are going to look the same to you guys. This one is the one with egg. This one is the one without. Okay. Oh, and so PJ made the yellow one she's holding is the egg one. And she dyed it yellow with food dye, but she also put in peppermint oil and put in an Altoid amount of peppermint oil. So you ended up doing a tablespoon, not a tablespoon, a teaspoon, right? Tablespoon. You ended up doing a teaspoon, right? I think you did one teaspoon. Anyway, it was half of whatever the vanilla flavoring was supposed to be, and I think she said to do half of that, right? Okay, so I'm going to taste these, and I'm actually going to compare them. I went and bought marshmallows. How sad is that after all of this effort? But I wanted to compare them to an actual, industrial marshmallow, which most of the ingredients are the same. They only have a few other ones, a few other kinds. All right, this is now hot chocolate. So when you make hot chocolate in the double boiler, you have, that's right, you have your camping ones. Those aren't new ones, right? Those are camping ones. They're stale.
Yeah,
She's using as a hammer.
very stale.
Very stale. If you're making hot chocolate on the stove, it will get a skim on it, and you just need to stir it to put it back in. All right, I'm gonna cut this open with these giant scissors. Okay. Back to these. Okay, I'm gonna taste the egg one first. Yeah, peppermint marshmallows does sound good. Mmm. This one just melts away.
Mm-hmm.
This one just melts away. And it's more light and fluffy, and the other one is more dense. So I'm going to taste the non-egg white one. I would say that's closer to marshmallow,
Mm-hmm.
but I wouldn't know it if I just had this. I would know it. This one is more fluffy, but compare it to a store-bought one.
A stale one.
You know, the new one tastes stale compared to these ones. It definitely does. But it's
You ought to try
closer
this
to
one.
We hear you now.
You ought to try this one.
It's hard.
The stale
They
one.
are very close. The non-egg white one was very, very close.
Mine might be softer because of the agave.
Oops. Mine is very soft. The first one that we did, it's very soft.
Yeah.
So I wonder. Yeah. Okay. So next up is the melt test. And I have my hot chocolate. And I have 3 different types of marshmallows, so I have to have 3 different cups of hot chocolate, right? I guess I could put them all in the same cup, but what would be the fun in that? All right. Time to hopefully not make a mess.
Welcome to Katrina's marshmallow experiment.
I cleaned up everything, PJ. I cleaned up everything. I was a mess. I had it down the cupboard. I had it on the what was it? The towel that was over there. But if you want to see that, you have to sign up. Okay. If you're doing a double boiler like I am, you have to be careful leaving a spoon in because it can actually tip. But also always use a hot pad. All right. Okay. Looks like we have extra chocolate in there. I'll have to add more milk and maybe save it for breakfast or the next time. All right. I'm actually going to cut comparable one of these. And dust it, just to be fair. Scientific. Okay, so we have egg white, no egg white, store-bought. And now we sit and watch. No, we don't. We can talk. So far, they all float. All right. What do you guys want to talk about while we do that experiment? PJ, do you want me to read what you had said, or you want to try and say it?
You can, but I think everybody else can hear me.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay.
So, your thoughts on the different kinds?
The egg white one was very, very soft, melts in your mouth.
Good.
But it might be because of the agave, which is a little bit thinner than the corn syrup.
So, is it squishy like that? Like, is it more squishy than that?
More squishy.
Okay. This is what we do on our things here. Okay. Mm. But it's worth doing, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
if you don't want to take part in the corn syrup industry, then agave works.
Yeah, it
Okay.
worked.
So what are some other um I wonder if honey would work or if it would give it too
Yes.
much of a flavor. Um
Other recipes that I've read, honey works. Maple syrup
okay.
is kind of thin.
You have to have some thick maple syrup. Yeah. Yeah. All right, let's see what people say. Okay, Verna is saying oil the knife. Milk is not boiling. So, Dawn, the reason why you saw steam on my double boiler is because the space in between the pot and the bowl is the steam comes out. So, it's just not an airtight thing. Like if you were to have a real double boiler, it'd be a little better. Ooh, let's check in on the race. We have these two are pretty comparable in their melting. That one melts less. So, this is a store bought. This is egg white, no egg white, and store bought. So they're about, I mean, I haven't stirred them in yet. I just kind of want to see how they melt. But I will say, after having to clean up, oh, do you have multiple in a thing? Oh, you have different ones. Are they melting about the same?
No.
I love that you put the yellow one in your yellow cup.
The egg white one melted a lot quicker.
Okay.
But again, it could be because it was softer because of the agave.
Right. So what are your goals? If you're going to put it in your hot chocolate, it's going to melt. Right?
Yep. Yep.
All right. Dawn says the ladies in my dehydrating group go nuts dehydrating them and colored ones from the store too. So, does my mom want to come on and tell her marshmallow story? I will send you the link. I should scroll down and see what she says. My mom has a marshmallow story. Yeah, freeze drying, and that's what Verna's saying. They're great freeze dried. The freeze drying people love freeze drying them too. I haven't done it yet. I haven't done candy. I've had some candy that Verna did. The taffy was really good. That one, the saltwater taffy, was good. I don't think my mom's on here anymore. There, she's very, very quiet. I'll tell the story for you if you don't want to tell it,
She ran away.
or you can tell me not to. Um. Anyway, yeah. Marshmallows are good. You can also put in like cocoa powder or like PJ did different flavors. Um. I've seen people like at the tail end when it's still tacky, you can put like sprinkles on the top or something. Yeah. Yeah. Um. Yeah, definitely, Dawn. Agave sounds healthier, and from what PJ's experiment is apparently delicious. So I think this is one of those things that if you stop eating the store bought one and start to only eat your own, then you probably would eventually not notice a difference because you haven't had the other one in so long. That's my inkling. But they're both very good. I would say definitely say the no egg white one is more similar, but the egg white one I kind of liked better, and I liked it better before it set too, because it has a little bit more like almost a meringue taste, which is beaten egg yolks or egg whites. All right. Dawn makes homemade hot chocolate with coconut milk. Yeah,
Ooh,
that sounds good. Actually, sounds really good.
yeah.
And yeah. And Verna says, wonder if honey would work. I would love honey flavor. Yeah, so PJ saw some recipes with honey. We should have tried one. We probably had enough ingredients to do it. Maybe we'll try it another time. Um, exactly. Yeah, Dawn says if they ban corn syrup, it won't be missed. Yeah, and really the only thing I've used it for is desserts that are baked. I mean, this isn't baked. This is actually um I mean, you cook part of it because it's syrup. And you heat up the gelatin, but that's just heat. It's not really cooking. Um, but like as far as like the egg whites and stuff, it's not necessarily cooked, except for I think it probably does get cooked with the syrup when you pour it in because it's hot. Um, but yeah, the only things I've used corn syrup for is that, and very rarely. In fact, the corn syrup that I use is probably pretty old. Oops, sorry, bump that. Um, yes, and you can make your own corn syrup. And Brenna, yeah, thank you for sharing that last time with the uh that 70s, was it? That 70s homestead, I think. She did a video on that. Yeah. So yeah, they're good. I don't know. So PJ, after going through this and being a chef yourself, uh are there any improvements you would try on these recipes? Or would you try like, since the agave is thinner, would you try and thicken that first, like boil it down or anything like that? Or do you think, what do you think? Because you have more experience in that than I do.
A little bit.
Oh no, you're a robot again. Can people hear PJ? I couldn't hear you. And nobody's answering me. It's okay. So you do have improvements, and we'll hear about them later. She's freezing. Yeah, yeah. I think the internet on her side is going. It sounds like guitar strings. Oh, PJ has your own. You have your own song. Yeah, I'm sorry, PJ. We can still look at your beautiful face. You want to play charades and tell us what you said? I'm sorry. Um. All right, so I'm gonna kind of dig in. My, you don't want to do charades? You're frozen with a big smile on your face, so there you go. Um, for mine with egg with corn syrup, it's actually melting less fast than the no egg one. I'll show you. I was just going to stir this, and I looked down. So this is the egg. I don't think this light works very well. Nope, it doesn't work very well. So this is the egg. Ta-da! This is no egg, and this is store-bought. Store-bought definitely has like foamy stuff around it. And you stir it around, it stays in a blob. Okay. This one is just melty, but still attached. So that still does that. And this one, same thing. Okay. They all kind of act the same, but this one's definitely melting faster. So, I don't know. There's my scientific truth. Oh. So does anyone here want to know about the marshmallow process, or anything about joining Katrina's kits and cooking with me live. We do this every month, and we do it on a weekend day. Sometimes it's 2 days in a row. If anybody wants to know anything about stuff, ask questions or anything like that. Dawn says, I never could get store-bought to melt like they did when I was a kid. The ladies that made the hot chocolate probably made them too. Probably, and it's possible there was different ingredients when you were a kid. So I was looking on the ingredients in here, and it has all the same ingredients that we made the middle one with, plus dextrose, natural and artificial flavor, which who knows what that is, tetrasodium phosphate. And I don't know what that is. Tetrasodium phosphate. Salt and phosphate? I'm guessing that's probably a preservative or something to it doesn't stick. No, cornstarch is in here. That doesn't stick. I'm guessing it's a preservative. So that could be adding stuff, a different way. All right, PJ jumped ship and she's talking in the chat. If you type what you were trying to say earlier, I'll read it out loud. But yeah, it's totally possible that when you were growing up, Dawn, that these were made out of some more simple ingredients, whether homemade or not. But it is super simple. And I like that PJ tried it with the agave because we know that it works. And if she's probably typing out like a paragraph now about the agave one, because I found that really interesting. I'm going to stir these and you guys get to watch. Are you jealous yet, guys? Now, when I washed everything up, you can wash everything very easily with hot water, and it comes right off. All right, so that's that one. Let me bring the light back in. Okay, so this isn't actually melting quite as well. I thought it was melting better. It was just blobbing. Blobbing's a word now. Yeah, it's sticking to the spoon. All right, we can take care of that. And here is store-bought one. And that does not melt. The other one's kind of stir right in a little bit. This one's not ready to do that. I wonder if it has more gelatin in it. It probably does. So PJ, that's something else. The first recipe that we used, remember it was nearly half as much gelatin as the second recipe. And that's your one that was thinner. So I wonder if the answer to thin agave syrup is more gelatin. Maybe that could be the case. All right. Verna says, yeah, you used to be able to buy it where marshmallow root was used. Yeah. I've grown marshmallow root once and then didn't use it. I was like, oh, it'll reseed itself. And then it didn't. But I think there's some places here I should be able to grow it because I do have some areas that get some water. Dawn says, I have never tried agave yet. I have to check to see if it's paleo approved. Monk fruit is, and I haven't tried it either. I started years before either one of those were available in stores. Absolutely. I've had monk fruit, like, I have it in a package somewhere, packed, because I haven't unpacked all the way. But I actually, last year, so a year ago plus a couple, at the Heirloom Expo, someone brought someone brought monk fruit, and after the whole thing was over, because I was an exhibitor, she broke into all of her exotic fruit. And that's Wendy with, what is the name of her channel? She has a YouTube channel. You guys will meet her in a video sometime this winter. I have it out. Little interviews with people at the Heirloom Expo for the winter. but she had monk fruit, and you can eat the fruit, but you can actually eat the outside part, the shell, and that is very sweet. It's very sweet. Yeah. And agave, it probably should be paleo approved. I mean, it's from the agave. It's I don't know if it's refined. I don't think it is. I don't know. Let us know. Find out tomorrow. Not tomorrow. Next week, Dawn. Okay, PJ said the agave one melted very quickly. I bet. I bet having more gelatin in it would help it, because I mean there was a difference between the two in the amount of gelatin. I bet if you put more gelatin in the egg white one, it will be more marshmallow like. That's my bet. And we can explore and figure it out. Okay. Yeah, so either less agave or more gelatin. Yeah. Verna says monk fruit isn't as healthy as many think. It's a fruit. So what's wrong with that? Oh, your body thinks it's a poison? So you gain weight in water as your body deals with it. I've not heard that. I know it's a fruit and it's used pretty widely where it grows. So I'm not a nutritionist and I don't know, but yeah. Okay, agave is definitely approved. Okay. For paleo. Awesome. Oh, I missed something. Dawn says, I've been happy using raw honey, pure maple syrup, and liquid stevia, and they are available. Yeah. Yep. I haven't used the liquid stevia. I've grown stevia before. It actually reseeded in my yard in Gilroy when I was there. And I did not take advantage of it like I should have. I just kind of like, when I would go through the garden, I would take a leaf. And I really want to see if I can, especially now that I have the freeze dryer, I think it would be cool to freeze dry that and see how that goes, because I think freeze drying something like that will probably be better than dehydrating. So like there's some herbs, all herbs are going to be better freeze dried, but like basil kind of sucks dehydrated, but basil freeze dried tastes like basil. I mean, it tastes like fresh basil. So yeah. Um, yeah, PJ says store bought has more chemicals. Absolutely. Yeah. Um, okay, Dawn says interesting reading the arguments for and against. One is agave is a fructose. Okay. Dawn says my basil is great dehydrated. Dawn, if you freeze dry it, it'll be even better. It's amazing freeze dried. I have dried basil for years, but freeze drying is amazing. It is absolutely amazing. It tastes fresh, like you just picked it. It's really, really awesome. This is the taste test. I put a lot of chocolate in there. Okay. Tasting mostly chocolate. I would say the homemade ones are more creamy. I think because it melts better. Right. Berna says stevia is great to dry and powder it. It adds green flecks to your baked goods. You only need a third of a teaspoon equal to 1 teaspoon. Yeah, so dried um versus living, I guess. Herbs, fresh herbs, it's a 3-to-1 ratio. So if you dry something generally in herb form, there are some exceptions. It's going to be, if you're using a recipe for fresh herbs, you use a third of it. Yeah, good to mention. Dawn says it's not worth a couple $1,000s to make good taste better. Okay, okay, good. Yours tastes fresh picked too. Good. Um, Okay, so that's also that's a good thing. PJ's saying in the hot cocoa she can't taste the mint as strong. It was really strong when she tasted the batter. She's like, "Oh, that's good, but it's strong." And it is uh when you mix it in things, then it would taste the taste evens out. So that's good to keep in mind if you're uh like the purpose of whatever it is. Now the interesting thing you could do with something like the homemade marshmallows is, you guys remember when everybody was making chocolate spoons for hot chocolate? You could just add the marshmallow on it and, put the spoon in the stuff and do that instead of having it dry overnight and do this. Yeah. Okay, so you think it's just right if you put it in something like hot chocolate. Good. Good. No candy canes needed. Verna is saying if you eat it fresh, it tastes like candy. The stevia? I would say if you tell a child that, they're going to come back and say, I thought this was going to be candy. I would say it tastes sweet, but it definitely has a taste to it other than sugar. It has another taste to it. So, yeah. I'm impressed with these marshmallows. Mm-hmm. I definitely should have had more milk in there. Look at how much I have left in there. Hmm. All right. I guess my mom's not on here anymore. Otherwise, we could tell her marshmallow story. The green taste, it's more, there's a very specific taste stevia leaf has, for me at least. Yeah, it's not just like a green taste, like, grass or lettuce or something. There's something like a little bit bitter in it, but just a little bit, and another flavor. So I don't know. I don't know. So anyway, so that is the demonstration. The demonstration. Um, Ravioli has not had kits yet, and so she is going to be rebred tomorrow, hopefully, if that's still the plan. So she'll be rebred tomorrow, and Rigatoni's babies are doing great. They have decided they are going to live in a split deck. So she has enough that I think they're too warm in all in the same pile. And so they've separated themselves into two piles. So when I go in and check on them or go in and feed, I just put my hand in there and say, okay, how many are in here? As long as there's, like a real split, not just one or two hanging out, then I'm fine with it. If there's one or two hanging out, I'll put them back together. And I mean, they are little bundles of heater. You have those like hand heaters, those pocket heaters. You should just grab some bunnies and walk around with them. Don't do that. But they are very warm. Yeah. Okay. So Verna's telling me there's something different. Every child that she has given a leaf to, they call it candy. That is good. Or they've had really bad candy. No, that's really good. That's really good. All right, PJ is saying for cutting the marshmallows, as far as what I did, I would use the oil and dusting up the sides for both. Yeah, I kind of want to try. Is this the one I used oil? I don't remember which one I used oil on. I used oil on that. I kind of want to try just the dusting on this one, because this one is the more sticky one. Probably not the most efficient way to do this. Because I liked this way on the other one. I don't know. I kind of like the dusting. But as far as like underneath, so we did this on the second tray where you rub the oil in and then put the solution, the marshmallow solution, the powder on and dust it to the sides. I would definitely do that for both of them moving forward, for any of them moving forward. So I agree with that. But as far as cutting it, I'm not sure that it needs the oil. I should probably close the oil, huh? Mm-hmm. All right. So back to bunnies. Yes, PJ agrees. Back to bunnies. Rigatoni is doing great, and she is she's doing really, really well with her babies. They are 8 days old today. Is that right? Man. So in 2 more days, I expected them to start opening their eyes. So that'll be day 10. So they're 10 days old, and then between 10 days and 14 days, all of them should have their eyes open. If all of them don't have their eyes open by day 14, that's when you should kind of start checking and seeing if they have nest box eye, which means their eye is crusted shut. Usually an easy thing to fix. I've only had it happen once, and I have a video on that. You just type in nest box eye. I don't remember if I did nest box as one word or two. But that is something easily fixed with really a warm, damp washcloth where you just basically soak it and then kind of go like this and soak it some more and go like this. You're basically loosening that crusty on their eye. At least for the one that happened for me, why it happened, I believe, was I don't know if it's eyelash, but also some of the hair by its eye was facing in. So it was facing the wrong way and kind of sealed it shut. So full recovery, completely fine, got its eye opened, and was good. But that can be a problem to look for at that age. So hopefully we don't have that. If we do, I will show it. If not, I already have a video on it. I'll put a link actually. Oh, I already have stuff open. Eye. Let's search for eye. Successful treatment of nest box eye. Copy. Nest box eye. Okay, Don says, I thought somehow maybe Chris said if they have nest box eye, he calls them, or it could have been someone else. Birth defects sounds like Chris. So you're talking about Chris with slightly redneck, as is his channel. I would say, personally, if you have an animal that has an issue, and if it's a nest box eye issue, that's an issue. That one's dinner. It's not a breeder. I wouldn't cull it just right then and there. I would say let it be dinner. Let it grow up to be dinner. I mean, unless it gets infected and it's like having a hard time coming out of it, I wouldn't do that right away. I mean, just like I kept Penne. So Penne is one of my breeders, and she was born with half of a foot, half a back foot. Now she was one of 2 babies of the last litter of Tortellini, who was an older doe. Yeah, exactly, Dawn. It's fine for me. It's fine for me. There's no reason not to just have it grow up. Yeah. Right. So if it had a disease or something you couldn't explain, or if you butchered it and the meat was green, or there's spots in the liver, like these are reasons not to consume an animal. Another one would be if it had a stressful death, like, if it was really hurting and all that, then you can choose whether or not you want to partake in that. Stress hormone comes into the muscle very, very quickly. If you think about, mom whose kid is underneath the car and she all of a sudden can lift a car. No way in the world would this person be able to if that adrenaline wasn't in her muscles, right? So it's the same thing about the stress. And when I say stress hormone, I'm thinking, is it cortisol? There's a couple of them. So adrenaline is one. I think cortisol is another. And there might be others. But it gets released into the muscle immediately. That's where we get fight or flight. So either you're going to fight or you're going to run away. But either way, your muscles are charged in a life or death situation, right? And if you are hurting, that goes into your system as a pain, as a stress response. And so what I try and do is when it's at the end of when it's time to process, I try and make things as easy, as smooth as possible. Don't want them to know what's coming. And I think that's the responsible way to do it. If you have been handling your animals, if they're around you all the time, if they come running up to you when they see you, unfortunately, you're going to break that trust. But having that trust of you is actually going to be better for it in its last moments because it's not going to freak out. And so we can have a whole talk on that later. But definitely, that gets into the tissue. In fact, it doesn't even just get into the tissue. So when I was at Heart Mountain National Antelope Refuge in southeastern Oregon doing my undergraduate research, I went out with a crew that was in, I think it was 2004 when West Nile came onto the scene, West Nile virus spread by mosquitoes. And that was taking out chicken flocks. It was taking out chicken flocks. It was taking out a whole bunch of everything, a whole bunch of birds. But the chicken family is particularly susceptible. And sage grouse are native in the high desert in the area, and they are of the chicken family. And so the I don't remember what they're called, National Health something. They're in Madison, Wisconsin. If you're curious, you can look it up. But they came out to the refuge, and I mean they were going all across the West looking for sage grouse that actually had antibodies. Boy, we were taking a biology turn. Marshmallows and sage grouse. But they were looking for antibodies to West Nile. And what that would tell them if they found it is that birds got West Nile and survived. And they weren't finding that. They weren't finding it at all. And they finally did find one in California that did have antibodies. So anyway, I was volunteering with them at night, going out and catching these sage grouse, which is a hilarious event. And you go out, and one person has a backpack generator spotlight, and you shine. That person takes the spotlight and shines it and wiggles it. Well, shines it, finds one, and then wiggles it at that sage grouse. Everybody else is behind that cone of light, and we have like this big. It's almost like a dip net. Each person has one, and then we just catch them on the ground while they're sleeping, or we just woke them up for sleeping. After that point, I found out there was a protocol written for somewhere else, but an actual protocol. I think it's a federal protocol, but for catching them, and you're supposed to blast rock and roll music. And the point is, it gets rock and roll music is not regular enough, so it's irregular sound to cover your footsteps, and that was the justification they used in that protocol. So anyway, sidetrack. So we were catching sage grouse, which are chicken-like little birds, and we did a blood smear. So drawing blood from there's a vein right here, drawing that blood, and then doing the blood smear on a slide. And I didn't draw blood, but I was able to do slides. And then there was a graduate student there who was also studying stress hormones, circling back. And so when you catch them, most of the time they poop because they're scared and there you go. Sometimes they don't, so you're holding it like this and you're like, okay, I have my hand under its butt for when it poops. And so he was actually finding that those stress hormones come out in the poo immediately. Like they just woke up because they just got caught. Oh my gosh, poo, there you go. So that those stress hormones really, really, really get into different parts of the animal very quickly. And I don't know why we started that, but there we go. I've heard of adrenaline being actually visible on a, someone told me this. There was a road-killed deer, and it took a while for it to pass. And someone then said, okay, well, it's road-killed. I'm going to cut this up and eat it. And they said it was horrible. And you could actually see a shimmer on the surface of the meat. So I don't know if that's what it was or not, but we can move on. Marshmallow day. Okay. Yeah, Vernon. So we're talking about nest box eye. Vernon says, I don't think it's a disease. No, it's not a disease. It's a condition where they can't open the eye. But where you might not want that animal to breed is if there is something genetic with how that hair is going into the wrong place or how the eye shape is that promotes, it being closed or all of that. You just want to reduce your risk as much as possible. So what I was going back to say is that Penne, I probably shouldn't have kept, and she still might be going because she's not being as much of a butt nugget as she was, but we'll see. We'll see. Now her babies, it's a birth defect. She is full sister of the other ladies. She's the only one I ever had with a birth defect, but all of her babies will be food. So I won't ever save a baby back from her to breed. So yeah, that's how I think of it, Dawn. Okay. Dawn says, I'm thinking of it because she's mentioned hair in the eye. What about pollen? What? Off the straw? I don't know that. Pollen? I don't know what you're saying, Dawn. Maybe reword? Okay. Yeah. Marshmallows to eating rabbits with infected eyes. Yeah. Well, hopefully you don't have infections. I've also hard and fast. So I've also heard with nestbox eye of using chamomile tea bags and getting it warm, like you have for tea, but then putting on as a poultice because chamomile has some effects that are healing topically. And I am not a doctor, nor am I an herbalist, so you can find someone else to tell you why. But a lot of the herbs and a lot of the teas that we drink have these effects. And in fact, I like to encourage people to use more seasonings in their life because seasonings are medicine. Good medicine that you'd be hard pressed to overdose on. Okay. Dawn says, this reminds me of the adrenochrome stories. I have no idea what that is, Dawn. Oh, Dawn says maybe that's why my surgeon puts us out laughing as we go into surgery. I thought it was the weirdest, funniest thing ever. He did it to me twice. Could be. It could be. I mean, maybe there's something in it that you're releasing the correct hormones for healing. Laughter is the best medicine, right? There's probably some evidence that those are actually hormonally driven. Again, not a doctor. All right. Oh, that's what you were trying to say. Okay, Dawn, let me reread your question. The the straw. Okay, so we're talking about different. We're back to rabbits. Talking about the differences between straw and hay. There's a couple different things with that. So for nest boxes, at least, straw is the better option. It's more insulating. It has less moisture. So that means it's going to harbor less issues for you. I've always used hay because that's what's available to me. I probably will continue to use hay because I now have a hay field. Hay works just fine. But as Verna says, hay has seed heads, so she is wondering if that can cause nest box eye. I don't think so, but I'm not a bunny doctor. My understanding is that for some reason the eye doesn't open, and it does actually have a crusty, like sometimes you know how like dogs have sleepies in their eyes and you're just like trying to get it out of their eye. It's kind of like that, but the eye has yet to open. So I haven't really, you guys can watch that video and see kind of what happened with that. It takes a few times, at least with this one, because the hair was going the wrong direction. But it shouldn't recrusty. That's a term now. But it might. So yeah, I've only had it happen once. But yeah, as far as straw and hay, hay is going to be your better option for nest boxes for insulation and because it doesn't have as much moisture. But hay is perfectly fine. And hay does have seed heads, but I think that has something totally different. It may not. I may be missing something, and if I'm missing something, please tell me. But as far as using hay, like in your garden, you're going to get seeds because there are seed heads. So straw could be better in that case. But again, it's browns and greens. All right. Dawn says chamomile is antiviral, antibacterial, and antibiotic. I've seen it kill mold also. I use it on plants a lot. Okay. Yeah, I knew it had stuff in it. Steve. Welcome, Steve. Dawn question was instead of nest box eye, if it could be from pollen. Okay. Okay. Or if it could be injured from the straw or something in the straw. I've only had it happen once, and I'm pretty sure it was the direction of the hair was growing. I don't think there's a lot of pollen in grass once it's cut and dried, so I don't think it would be a pollen issue, but someone can tell me different. Steve, I have a question. You work for tell me if this is right. I don't remember. Don't you work for like a customer service place for like stoves and things? Can you tell me? Can you tell me why that light's on, even though the burners are off and cold? Okay, there's my selfish question. Anybody else answer that too? Burners still work. All right. So Eric's here. Welcome, Eric. Welcome. Uh-oh, Eric's starting. My son asked me where poo came from. I was a little uncomfortable, but gave him an answer. He looked perplexed and stared at me for a minute, then asked, Antigger? That's a good one. That's a good one. All right. Everybody's saying hi. I'm apparently behind a little bit. That's fine. Oh, Steve says, hey, PJ, I miss your big old smile. I'll have to replay that part in screen capture. Absolutely. She got frozen on a smile. PJ had trouble with the internet. So yeah. Late again, PJ says. All right, everybody's saying hi. People get sleepies in their eyes too. People get sleepies in their eyes, but we usually know how to get them out and are successful. Dogs, on the other hand, just don't want you to touch their eyes. Some dogs are okay with it. Yes, and baby kitties have crusties too. Mommy kitty has these spots right here, and I just have been unable to to get her to trust me enough. Yeah. Yeah. I did, however, just get the TNT, the flea and tick medicine in the mail today. So I'm going to try and apply. Ringo won't be a problem. But I also don't know, like, should I not apply it since it's raining tomorrow? Should I wait until it's dry? I don't know. These are outdoor guys. All right. Um, Steve says kittens get crusty eyes. Bunnies are a lot like kittens, but don't taste as good. So I've heard. Oh, Steve, we'll leave it at that. Your sensor doesn't work. Uh-oh. Well, it just stopped. It just stopped. I mean, it just started. I don't know. It's not dangerous, right? Are you sure it's off? I'm absolutely sure it's off. I can put my hand down on it and it's cold. Like everything is cold. If it's just a sensor and it's not gonna like blow up or something, I might just leave it. All right. Cats in the cradle. Cats in the cradle and the silver spoon. All right. The burner switch is faulty and one of its internal contacts is stuck in the on position. Is it worth fixing? Yeah. PJ says Mama Kitty isn't going to trust you if you keep fussing over her. It's the one with the H, which is probably GE. It is. It's a GE. I always look at it as an H. It's a GE. Cats in the Kettle. Oh, Weird Al. I don't know that I've heard that one. I do like Weird Al. Yeah. So I have another place I need to call tomorrow, but the closest time I can get cats fixed is that I have found is March. So that is fun here. Yeah. JJ, you're here. Welcome. She showed up yesterday late too. Yeah. Welcome, welcome. JJ, we were just taste testing and we have I gotta redo this one. We're just gonna eat tons of marshmallows tonight. We have Steve and Eric new on here too. So this one was the one with egg white, and it is, it's squishy. It's squishy-er than the one without egg whites. This is much more firm. And we tested them, and the one with egg whites melts in your mouth a lot more. It's very pleasant and is marshmallow-esque. The one without egg whites is more firm and tastes more like what we know as marshmallow. PJ and I have decided that maybe if you add a little more gelatin to the egg white one, it might set up a little better and be more like a marshmallow that we're familiar with. She also used agave instead of corn syrup, and it's much more squishy, much more fluffy, right? Or airy or something. And powdered sugar is an ingredient. That's not the only ingredient in the outside stuff. And it melted much quicker than mine did, which I used the corn syrup. I'm pointing here because we melted in hot chocolate. Nobody guessed it. Nobody guessed it. Verna's half right. I'm doing this over my hot chocolate to be tomorrow. There you go. Verna got it. Verna got it. Powdered sugar and cornstarch. Equal parts. And it doesn't taste corny. Yeah. John says if she starts talking faster, she's on a sugar high. Okay. Okay. That sounds like a really bad country song title, Steve. I feel like it needs a colon and like a rest of a title. Being a cornstarch. Rita says, I had to open that file in my brain. You keep files, huh? Okay, that was a store-bought one. It was still marshmallow at the very middle. This is the non egg white. Still has chunks of marshmallow. After I stirred them a little bit ago. The hot chocolate's not as hot. And same with this. At this point, I think the two homemade ones are very much alike after they're somewhat melted. Okay. JJ says, actually, a nerd note, powdered sugar has cornstarch in it already. Are you sure? Open it. Let's see. Oh my gosh. Cane sugar and cornstarch. Corn's in everything, guys. All right, JJ. Fact checker. It's on the back of the package. You're right. You're right. I just dropped it. Okay. Okay. Steve says, I'd have to defrag my brain to access some of the files. Yeah, there you go. Hey, Carolina Kind Family Homesteads here. I'm going to call you Carolina. Hi, Carolina. Welcome. Cheers, my friend, they say. All right. Hard to find powdered sugar or cornstarch without GMO corn. Yeah. Yep. You can make your own powdered sugar. It's literally just like sugar powdered. They must put corn syrup in it for moisture, I'm guessing, or to beef it up and say, we're not using as much. Oh boy. All right. Steve says the government encouraged the corn and corn syrup in so much to replace sugar way back when to bring prices down. Yeah, that is also when the sugar industry told us fat is all bad, right? They're all fat is bad. Yeah, that's actually good for you. Honey is better than sugar. Yeah. So you can replace a lot of things with honey. And Carolina, we made marshmallows. I'm not going to eat any more of them. We made marshmallows with the Katrina's Kits Cook With Me Live that we do every month. That is not the right link. And we did our taste test at the beginning of this. And if you want to join us, we just every month, go ahead and click that. We also have a join button down below, and there's a link in every description of every video. So, yeah, we made marshmallows, and that's why we're discussing cornstarch, because that's in the powder on the outside. It's really to keep things from sticking, right? Yeah. So honey works for a lot of things. I know last month we made pumpkin pie. And I made it with regular sugar this time, but I have made it with honey. And for that recipe, it's 1 cup sugar or 3/4 cup honey. So there is a different measurement for honey. And also, I would imagine since it's a liquid sugar at room temperature, that some things might be a little different. You just have to figure out how to make it work. Yeah. Okay. And yeah, cornstarch so it doesn't clump. But I think it would clump because of the moisture, right? Yeah. You guys are thinking the same thing. And Carolina says, I use cornstarch to make chicken gravy. I've always used flour for gravy, but I guess you could use cornstarch, huh? One of the recipes actually did say potato starch or cornstarch. Um, and really it's just to keep things from sticking. So you could use potato starch. I'm guessing you can probably use potato starch in replacement for cornstarch for a lot of things. Yeah. Brenda says, if the substitute honey for corn syrup for rock candy, it comes to a hard stage faster. Okay. Yeah. Yes, if your honey starts to crystallize, just put your container in hot water to heat it up and it'll go back to normal. So honey is a food that does not expire. What? It does not expire. And wax from honeycomb never goes hard, which is why the ring for your toilet, the part that connects between your toilet and the flange in the floor, should be made out of honeycomb. Not honeycomb. That would be a horrible idea. You would invite ants. But the honeycomb wax, the beeswax. And that is supposed to keep a seal. You don't have to replace it at all unless you pick the toilet up off of it. Then, of course, you want a different seal. Marshmallows to sage grouse to, toilets. we're doing it all today. All right. Okay, Carolina says chicken broth and a little cornstarch. Whip it real good, then thickens quick. That makes sense. That makes sense. Cornstarch is something that we are not supposed to use in canning. I thought I'd bring that up since we're talking about cornstarch. It's a thickener. We're not supposed to use thickeners because it thickens, and it just displaces things. I think is what happens, and it just grows and grows. Yeah, I don't know the full story on that. Okay, JJ says I like to whip crystallized honey and use it as a spread. That sounds good. Honey doesn't go bad, but it can change over time. It can change over time, but all that is it's crystallizing, and so you can like you said, put the container in some warm water, and there you go. You're not fact checking that toilet ring, JJ. I encourage you not to. Carolina says, love honey on bacon with little cayenne pepper. That sounds good. That sounds good. Thank you so much for coming on, PJ. I'm sorry we couldn't hear you very much, but at least we got to hear you a little bit. And thanks for sharing your experience making marshmallows with me yesterday. I asked PJ yesterday, so you're going to be on here? And she's like, if I'm awake. PJ's 3 hours later than here. So good night, sleep well, and may you wake up with your alarm. Thanks, PJ. All right. If you're hungry enough, no, we're not going to eat it. My goodness, JJ. Yes, beeswax, which comes from the honeycomb, but don't. It's not like this with honey in it. It's like melted down. Like that's the beeswax with honey. You don't have the honey part. I won this at a get together. Yeah, silly people. Silly people. Times are tough when you're poor. Oh my gosh, Steve. Yep, she's working a lot. She's working a lot, JJ. Yeah. Man, I made some good hot chocolate, but I did put a lot of chocolate in it. Mm-mm. Okay. Well, does anybody else want to know or ask questions or give volunteer statements about marshmallows? Because that was our topic of the day. I thought it was a pretty good topic. I think I do like the ones with the egg whites in them best. I think so. I think both are good. The one without the egg whites is definitely stickier. Definitely stickier. Yeah. JJ said I want that honeycomb. Yeah. Yeah. They this is a local guy. I don't know if he ships or not, probably not. You probably want local honey. Yeah. You're gonna want local honey when you get honey, and get honey that has not been heated for hasn't been cooked. A lot of the honey in stores have been pasteurized, but then it kind of takes away a lot of the goodness. All right. Verna says next time add some cocoa powder to your marshmallows. Or I think instead of using the powdered sugar and cornstarch for the bottom and top, you could actually coat in cocoa powder. That would be good too. Carolina's pigs love marshmallows. Why are you making marshmallows for your pigs? I'm sure they love them. I'm sure they love anything you give them. Is there anything your pigs don't like? What kind of pigs do you have? Okay, Eric says, why did the bee get married? Because he found his honey. I could freeze dry them if my freeze dryer was working right now. I finally heard back from Harvest Right. I don't know. I got caught in some sort of loop with them, so I'm happy with the product when it's working, but I'm not happy with them right now. So I will be happy with them again once things are fixed. In general, they're good. They're good company. People are laughing at Eric's joke. Yes, Verna says raw honey is best. Pasteurized honey has a lot of corn syrup in it. Pasteurized honey doesn't necessarily have corn syrup in it, but a lot of stores do thin out the honey they sell with other things, one of which could be corn syrup. But being pasteurized doesn't mean it has corn syrup in it. Pasteurization is basically heating. That's what they do in milk before it goes on the shelf. Oh, you give them treats. Okay, so marshmallow treats. Do you ever make the marshmallows in the shape of a pig? Okay. Okay, Carolina has a mule foot gilt and American guinea hog. I don't know mulefoot. Crossed with Cooney gilt. And 2 Duroc and Yorkshire boars. Awesome. I don't know mulefoot. They are swamped. I think it's the individual I'm working with, but I'm not going to say any more about that. Yeah, they're definitely swamped. My someone contacted me the other day, and Costco had the small one, and he's like, "Is it worth it?" I'm like, "Yeah." What are you going to do with it? And he told me, "Yeah, definitely, it's worth it." So, yeah. Oh, okay. Mulefoot is uncloven hooves. That would make sense for the name. And JJ says Amish sell raw honey. That may be true. I don't see many Amish people here. That's on the other side of the United States mostly, I think. But raw honey is sold all over. I know when I was in California, there were roadside stands that popped up every once in a while. I still need to edit the long video of when I spent the day with a guy who does honey in other people's yards. So urban. Actually, I'm just showing you guys things in my dishwasher. I did put it in with a label because it's kind of plasticky. But this guy, if you're in San Jose area, that guy is a good honey guy to look up. And what he does, Blossom Valley Bees, what he does is he manages other people's beehives. He manages beehives in other people's yards, on other people's properties, and they can come out and manage it with him or not. And they get a set amount from each box. A box of honey can be as heavy as 40 pounds, and so they get like 1 or 2 pounds from that, from every harvest, and then they can buy back their own honey from their own yard, or and then he sells the rest. But what he does is he mixes them so that you get a very wide range of benefits throughout the region. So they always say it's best to have honey from where you are, because that's what pollen is, that's what what the most local allergens are, all that. But since he does it from a little wider area, you can have kind of those extra protections built in. So I thought that was pretty cool. But I do need to actually edit that. Yeah. All right. Carolina's talking about the piggies, great grazers, and real good red marbled meat. Awesome. Awesome. I have yet to have pig meat besides sausage and bacon that I enjoy. I've tried Berkshire, really, really, like the well-raised ones, like we know all about the farm and all what they eat and how they're treated and all that. And but I haven't had any kuni. I haven't had a lot of different kinds. So willing to try it, not willing to have it here until I know that that it's gonna work. Yeah, because I like bacon and I like sausage, but there's only so much of that. All right. Steve says, I have a local honey producer about 4 miles down the road. Awesome. Very local. And Dawn says, I have a lot of Amish. Raw honey is in Aldi and Walmart too. Yeah, we don't have Aldi's here. I know when I was in the Midwest, there was an Aldi's. Yeah, you find them in interesting places. I know I did buy some local honey. I went to a co-op, the Grange co-op, and there was some there. But it was like they have like this gifty section, and it was in there. All right. Yeah, so Verna says only honey I buy is raw. Wish I could get raw goat's milk. I haven't bought honey. That's not true. I have bought honey from a store somewhat recently, but it was local honey. I haven't bought honey, just honey off the shelf. Oh, I'm going to go to the store and get honey. There's some honey, grab it. I haven't done that in years, because when you have that difference of like, oh, we have this regional effect, or we have this, apiary to support, we want to have them around, and really good honey. I mean, it's better to do local. All right, Carolina says I can get raw unfiltered honey at the local Ace Hardware. In fact, a wife has a bottle of Sweet Heat. It's spicy honey from a local farm. Awesome. Awesome. Yeah, Ace Hardware, I think we have one near us. Kind of, not near, but somewhat near. Ace has a lot of interesting regional things sometimes. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. So, yeah. It's interesting. Okay, Carolina says I want some milk goats. Just don't know what breed to get. I would love for someone else to have a dairy animal that I can benefit from. I don't want the responsibility of milking twice a day or even once a day. I like things a little more variable than that. All right. Yeah, try and buy honey from places upwind from you, up to about 300 miles. It works best for allergies. Okay. I didn't know about the 300 miles thing. But yeah, upwind makes sense. Yeah. Oh, Verna's saying pygmy dairy goats, Nubian dwarfs, then you get into larger ones. yeah. If PJ was on here, I would ask her advice. Or if Erin was on here, I don't think they do milk goats, right? Yeah. Dawn said, I have good friends who are farmers. Their pig meat is so good. They do sausage. That is awesome. Old 80-year-olds who are all natural and food is great. Awesome. Awesome. And JJ says Rural King and most farm stores. Yeah, so that's going to be where you find your local stuff too. Also, these days, I mean, Facebook and Craigslist, all that. Once you find your person, you'll go back. Okay, Carolina says, my pigs get treats, but not on a milk and pastry diet. I feed mine sow and pig grain mix from local mill. Okay. Milk and pastry diet. All right. All right. Good night, Dawn. Thanks for coming. And good luck with PT. JJ says, our very own Ghidra's family farm sells raw honey if they have any left. Yeah, they have good amount of hives, and yeah, they do. And they're in Louisiana. And Steve also has a jar of their honey. Well, why is it still there? You need to eat it. Exactly, Verna. Steve, why is this? You still have some left. All right, everybody's saying goodnight to Dawn. Yeah, honey's a good thing. I want to do bees. I'm going to at some point. It probably won't be this coming year. It'll probably be a year after that. I want to figure out where a high tunnel fits in. Saving for a rainy day. I want to figure out where high tunnel fits into my property. There's a couple things I'm still figuring out. Access is one, rules are another, water is a third. So, yeah, I'm still figuring some of that stuff out. So that's on the list for this coming year. Food forest, I'm figuring out locations, and again, whether or not I want to deal with water. I may not actually have water rights. They expire after non-use over 5 years. I don't know how that works when a new owner comes or anything like that. So I have some numbers to contact for that. But if I don't have that up there, it's either do it from my well, which isn't even on any maps because it's so old, which is possible, but that's a lot of line to run. Get a new well or water right location somehow, or go with whatever Mother Nature does. And ultimately, that would be the best, because that would just be who's the guy? Anybody know the name of the guy who does? He's really powder all over me. There's a guy who does like food forest type stuff on his own property, and he has an acronym. And basically, leave it alone, and whatever dies, dies, and whatever lives, reproduces. No, not Darwin. But I'll have to look up his... I'll put a video on the Friends of Sow and Tare Facebook group if I find it, because it's going to bother me if I don't figure it out. It's going to bother me. If you have not joined the Friends of Sow and Tare Facebook group, I encourage you to do so. Here's the link, and please answer all the questions and accept the rules, or else we think you are a robot. Anyway. Okay, JJ says, my cousin took one of my bottles of honey. Good thing I got 2 of them. Oh. Speaking of water, Steve says, How are you and the water master getting along? She's great. We talked. We had a good talk. These are where the questions are coming. So she gave me a number of a couple people that can come out, and I think she said they're going to contact me. So yeah, we are in good talks, good spirits. It's just some things may have lapsed in time, years and years and years ago. So, but sounds like a wonderful person, and sounds like a helpful person too. So that's good. Always good to know. Okay, thank you for asking, Steve. Oh, and Steve, I have to tell you, I have not filled the firebox because the guys working underneath the house took out the bottom of it. I see them. I'm working in the front room, and I see them putting wood on the benches out there. I go out there. What's going on? And they're like, "Well, we were thinking that we can take out the bottom of this because it's just wood slats, and so they can stand there. So the access is underneath the wood box where they've been carting stuff out, because they have to dig down to 18 inches to do any work under there. And so I have a lot of extra dirt. And so I was like, yeah, that's fine. As long as it gets put back, that's fine. And so I go out there, and they put the short guy in the wood box, and he's standing up, and he's the one handing the bucket between the guy underneath the house and the wheelbarrow person. So people in my wood box is what's happening. Okay, there you go. Oh. All right, JJ says, I have some local tulip tree honey. At first, it didn't taste good fresh, but about 4 months, it is super tasty. Okay. So saffron is another thing that's supposedly better after a few months. So there's some aging going on. Interesting. Steve says you can get lots of rain that falls from the sky if you want to do water catchment. Yeah, and so that's another thing I want to talk about. I don't think I talked to her about this because I need to talk to a hydrologist too. But anyway, I would love to put a pond up high and then have that bring water down. But I need to figure out what I have first. Start there and then go further. But yeah, water catchment is a really, really good idea. And I'm sure that could definitely work. But I do need to know that location before I build something like that. Yeah. Yeah. All right, I will tag you, Brenna, when I put that video up. Hopefully I'll do it right after this. I'll probably end up watching it again and then hopefully remember to tag it. I've watched it several times. Really, all it is leave it alone. Like, plant a bunch of things, leave it alone, see what happens. Things die, okay, plant more things. It's just, it would be a good thing. Okay. JJ says, I know who you speaking, or don't remember his name. Okay. Not Back to Eden. No, not Back to Eden. It's a different guy. No, it's not the Back to Eden guy. I do think wood chips are a fantastic thing to do. And I did that I didn't do the Back to Eden stuff, but I did use wood chips quite a bit in my old property. It's not that guy though. Yeah. Yeah, Steve says I held off on the firebox till you talk about the house being leveled. Yeah, but not for the reason that you thought a guy was going to be in it. Let me look that up. Paul G-A. G-A? Did you just see how I spelled that? G-A? G-A-U-T. No, that's the Back to Eating guy. This is a different guy. You guys are just going to help me type people's names in here, aren't you? American songwriter and music producer? No. I don't know who that is. Okay. Oh, Carolina asked to join and answer all the questions. Awesome. I'll take care of that after the live. Thumbs up, people, from Verna. Awesome. Thank you. You can save water from the top of the chicken coop, probably easily 100 gallons in storm or two. Okay, so I have plans to okay. I have too many plans going on right now. I need like 2 more of me. I need 1 person to work so I can do all the rest of it. And so I want to put a roof over where the does are, and that'll have quite a bit of space to collect rainwater. And I don't know how far over for Percy if I would put a separate one over him. That's a little bit bigger than what he has now. But basically, I want to have enough roof that coming in at an angle won't be an issue, but then also with a goal of water collection. The issue from there is how do you get that to where it needs to go? Now, the stuff from there can definitely water the garden over here, but because that's downhill. But anything else, it would have to be pumped up to, unless it's something down by the house. So yeah, I thought of that. I'm gonna do it. I just need more people to be me. Robert Downing. No, I don't think that's him. I do know who you're talking about. Let me make sure I know who that is. I recognize the name. Not Robert Downey Jr. Why is it not coming up with him? Okay, it's coming up with like random people. But I think I know who you're talking about. I don't like how Google is using AI. It does not. Charles Dowding. Yeah, Charles Dowding is the one I was thinking. But that's still not the right guy. I don't like the way Google is changing their search thing. They're wrong more often than right these days. I don't know if anybody else is having that problem, but they're failing in AI. Anyway, I'll find it for you guys and I'll put it up there. There's a video. I think it was a tour video. I think someone went to his place to do a tour, but I don't remember who did it. I'll find it. Yeah, Sow Land is good. Justin Road's good. That's not nearly the type of thing I'm talking about, though. Yeah, it was Charles, not not who you said before. Yeah, Charles Dowding. Good. All right, I gotta see what you're linking. Oh, wait. Why? Go away. I hate it when things start talking before I know what it is. Okay, I don't know what you just posted because it started talking at me and I closed it, so I hope it's good. Yeah. It's not a mystery. I'll figure it out. It'd probably be really easy for me to search. But I don't know. Do you guys want me to do it now? Is it that important? We won't give up. I want to say an acronym that is not it because it goes with something else totally unrelated. But yeah. Anyway, I'll figure it out. But yeah, things are busy and not at the same time. We're getting lots and lots of rain, and I wish I had systems set up to catch it up right now, but I don't, and that's fine. Yeah. Okay, it was Howie's channel. Got it. I just don't like when things start talking at me before I know what I'm looking at. Yeah. So yeah. Anyway, the video I was talking about. So he had done a lot of things with just like planting a bunch of things and saying, okay, this one lives, this one doesn't, whatever. But then he also made microclimates on his property and planted up things in that way. So he was able to do things like grow things warmer, grow things that are supposed to grow in a warmer climate, in a cooler climate than what they're supposed to, and protecting things from sharp winds and stuff like that. So anyway, that is what I was thinking. Anyway, we have run the gambit with different things. Okay, my mom is texting me. I'm on my live about cookies. Okay. Anyway, so yeah, there's a lot of things going on. I am in the process of a lot of different things and talking to a lot of different people, and it's a little hard because during the workday I have to work, and I can sneak in a phone call and work a little later on some days, but I can't do it all the time. Yeah, she's obviously not watching right now. Thanks, JJ. Maybe we'll tell her marshmallow story since she's not on. How about that? You guys want to hear my mom's marshmallow story? I don't know. It's a little story. You guys remember the little tiny marshmallows that are colored and have like different flavors? They're like the little ones. Apparently, when my mom was little, she made cookies out of them by putting them on a baking sheet individually, putting them in the oven, and cooking them. And the only one that loved them was her brother. He was like 10 years older. Come to find out as an adult, he didn't love them and he was just being nice. And she would make it for him to be special. So she found that out as an adult. Like when I was in the room. Yeah. Anyway, there you go. There you go. Jenny says, yes, please. Is it worse than your war with JJ also saw the war with marshmallows. Yeah, she came in late, but you came in just in time yesterday to see that, didn't you? Yeah, I had a battle with this one. It is sticky before it sets. Anyway, there's my mom's marshmallow story. I thought maybe she would want to share it, but there you go. Now you know. Yes, he was. I think he was a good big brother. Mm-mm. My hot chocolate is now cold chocolate, which is good, but hot chocolate is better. Divinity. I have made Divinity. I don't remember what all's in it. I made it once and it was good, and that's all I remember. Oh, JJ, the story reminds you of something that you would do? You know, why not? It's a one ingredient cookie. Yeah. Yep. Mm-mm. So, if you guys want to make marshmallows, join the channel, watch what we did, do it along with a video. But marshmallows in general, they're going to be super, super easy to make. Granulated sugar, cornstarch, and water. Is that what Divinity is? Yeah. The one special thing you should have if you're going to make marshmallows or other confections is this. Oops and egg whites. Okay. Hopefully oops is not an ingredient because it was an ingredient for one of the things I did. Verna says similar to marshmallows, but you better have a strong mixer as I have burned a few hand mixers making it. Ooh, I have a KitchenAid, so that's good. So if you're going to be making these marshmallows or anything that requires you to make syrups and get them to a certain point, other confections or candies, you want a candy thermometer. And they have, they come in different colors. The last one was yellow. I probably still have it. I had to buy a new one because I didn't know where it was. They're pretty affordable. And you want to make sure that this ball on the bottom does not touch the bottom of the pan, but it is in the liquid. So you only need that much to be in the liquid. There is a liquid in the center here that tells you what the temperature is. You know, it rises and falls with the temperature. If that's separated, then you're supposed to tap it, and I'm not going to really like tap it, but you're supposed to tap it on your palm like that. Probably a little harder than that, but until it goes down and joins the rest, and then you can use it. I've never had that happen, but that's what it says in the instructions. These should never be submerged. So when you wash it, you're, washing it down here. And when you put it in the little tube, they always come with a little tube. And put it in so the tip is not sticking out of the end. I always just store it in a mug above the sink. I have some other fun things there, like a Sharpie and and this giant thing that is actually not a toothbrush. It's for my juicer to clean out the juicer. It looks like a giant like dog toothbrush or something. But someplace it won't get lost. There you go. Candy thermometer. All right. Well, does anybody else want to talk about anything? Would you guys like to try a marshmallow? Sorry, you can't try a marshmallow. Is a digital thermometer okay? Yes. I've not used one, but you want a digital thermometer if you're going to use that to be able to go up high enough. These are much more reliable. I don't know what the liquid is they use nowadays. It used to be mercury. Now it's something else. Sometimes it's red, sometimes blue. I don't know if that's the material or the dye. Probably dye. But it works because that expands. So like this candy thermometer goes up to 400 degrees. So depending on what you're making, I don't know if a digital one goes that high. They probably do make them now, but they're not going to be as exact. And with candies and confections, which I think this would be considered a confection, the difference of 5 degrees makes a difference in the result. So you can try it. You'll come out with something sweet. Yeah. JJ says, my candy thermometer's died. I must have touched the bottom of the pan. I had one that it was cleaned. It was all this, and I put it, in the thing that I set it in before. And when I went to get it, I took it out, and then it just broke in my hand. So I think sometimes they just get brittle and break. But I mean, this was like $5. So like $5 or $6. I got it at Bimart. I know Bimart's not everywhere. Haha, I get to talk about a store you don't have. Seems like it's always the other way around. Yeah. But yeah, be careful with it. Always keep it in this tube when it's not being used. And that's the reason why, is because it's sensitive, So, and this is glass. It's not plastic. It's glass. But yeah, good stuff. Steve says, that red is dyed alcohol liquid. Mine's blue, though. What's the blue? Is it also dyed alcohol liquid? Probably. Yeah. Verna says, I have used the ice water for years before I ever bought a candy thermometer. So what Verna's talking about is like softball and hardball stage. Yeah, so that's JJ was talking about too, softball, hardball test. Yes, so the one that JJ is talking about, softball, hardball test, is the same thing as what Verna's talking about. Sometimes it is done on a cold plate that you have put in the refrigerator or the freezer. So it's cold plate, and you put a drop on there, and it either will spread out or it will remain on there as like a full domed drop. And then you can also touch it. It's either hard or soft. In a glass of water, when you drop it in a glass of water, you drop it in, and when it hits the bottom, it will either be something that you can squish or something that is solid hard. So that is more for hard candies. Now, these two different recipes had two different temperatures that we put it to. They're 5 degrees Fahrenheit apart, but I don't know if that makes a difference, that much of a difference, but it was 5 degrees apart. But yeah, so there are other ways. I mean, there's also when you like mix it, and like there's a spoon, and when you pull the spoon out and you can go like this on it. Well, don't do it with your finger if it's sugar, because you're gonna burn yourself. But you go like this on it, and it stays and doesn't run in. Then that's another identifier. There are different identifiers. Yeah, thread stage too. So there are different identifiers. Yeah. Yes, plastic would probably melt unless it was, made for certain temperatures. But yeah, it would probably melt. Worst thing about candy thermometer is when it breaks. It's in your candy. It could be if it was on the bottom of the pan, that's possible, because all that's doing is it's a little vibration, and eventually that's going to break. I've only had it broken outside of that, but yeah, that would not be good. Yeah. So yeah, there are alternates, but you just have to know, like, on the back here. Sometimes it says it on the front. My old one used to have it would have the stages on the front, so you could see when you got to that stage. This has it on the back. So, like, hard crack is 302, soft crack 285, hard ball 260, firm ball 248, soft ball, thread, jelly, and scald milk. And then it has other stuff with like deep frying stuff. But you have to know what that means in order to use that information. So if you have that knowledge, that's fine. But if you don't yet have that knowledge, then that's going to be challenging for you. It's also on the container. That makes sense? You have to know what you don't know. All right. We have run the gambit, and I still have some cold chocolate to drink. These were not full when I tested them, but they are very chocolatey. Okay. Verna says, I learned those terms in home ec. I will have to say I did not learn those terms in home ec. We learned very little in home ec. We learned things I already knew in home ec because my mom baked with us and stuff. But yeah, I would say, Verna, home ec kind of doesn't exist anymore in most schools. So anybody coming up in the educational system likely is not getting that education in school. Likely is not getting much of a how to do household things and cooking things in school. They're getting that from parents and people they know. But yeah. JJ says, I missed a whole hour, so I have to go back to the beginning. Yeah. Did you rewatch the first part from yesterday? Yeah. Okay, JJ says, I learned from the Old Joy of Cooking cookbook. Absolutely. That's why you laughed. Yeah. Home ec is not a thing. It was a thing when I was still going to school, but yeah. Yeah, so you can learn a lot from, especially the older cookbooks, and there's also some terminology that is different. So like Crisco used to be called, somebody yell it out in the text because I can't hear you. But like Crisco used to be called something else, oleo or something else. Like they would use brand names. Right. So JJ, lard is an appropriate substitution for shortening, and Crisco is shortening. But I think, was it oleo, or there's a couple other names for it. And some of the product names are product names, not ingredient names. So they're like a brand of something, and you're like, that brand doesn't exist. I have no idea what you're talking about. But you have to look it up. But a lot of the older cookbooks have some really, really good information in them. Yeah. In fact, there's a really good cookbook that I have. I don't even remember her name. I got it at like a thrift store or something, and it has really just, it's made of stories. It's made of stories, and I love it. And like telling you how to whip egg whites is like a page and a half long, but it is so informative and so funny and fun to read that it's just an amazing thing. So, and when you do it that way, you're like, oh wow, this is different. Oh, this is important to do it this way. Yeah. Verna says we had one semester of cooking, baking, second semester was sewing. Yeah, we just had one, and that was it. I think we had trimesters, so it was even shorter. Carolina says, love lard. I can't wait for a pig to harvest and render some. I have, the only lard I have rendered is rabbit. So I raised rabbits, and uh, I collected the fat for over a whole year, and there's not much rabbit, fat on a rabbit that's grow out, but there is fat, and I did save it this last year. I'll probably wait for this year too, just so I have enough, unless I feel like I need to do something. But it's in the freezer. But I did actually separate out the body fat and the um, inner fat by the kidneys, because I'm wondering if it's like pigs where you have the leaf lard, which is by the kidneys and organs, and then you have the body fat, which that one tastes more piggy, and the leaf lard doesn't have much of a taste that's used in pastries. So I'm wondering if there is a flavor difference, if there's a cooking difference. I know there is a texture difference and visual difference in that fat. So I will be doing that at some point. I'll probably wait till next year to do that, because I'll probably just have in the freezer just to have enough of it. So I have done that. I have a bunch of fat from Tri-Tip that had a ridiculous amount of fat on it. But there was a Tri-Tip sale. I think I got 4 of them. There's packages of 2, and so I got 2 packages at the time. And I have in the freezer that. So I will be rendering that at some point. I probably should do it soon because I want to have freezer room. Same thing with bone broths and stuff like that. So if you guys save your bone broth, save your bones from, Thanksgiving, hopefully, and Christmas, I'm going to be doing a bone broth video. I already have one if you're wanting to do it now. Actually, I have a couple, I think, but I'm going to be doing that probably right around Christmas. I don't know if they'll do it before or after, but save those, because I have actually a bunch of bones to do bone broth with. So there we go. All right, let's go up and see what I missed. All right, Verna says oleo was what is now called margarine. Crisco was shortening or vegetable shortening. There's another word for There's another word for shortening that I can't think of right now. Then I knew oleo was something. JJ says, "Yep, we went by quarters, sewing, cooking, wood shop. See, I never took wood shop either. Wood shop, they hated women, and hygiene. Did they save hygiene for the last? Because maybe that should come before cooking." Interesting that had to be taught in the schools, and maybe should be. But interesting. Carolina says, rabbit, good stuff. I need some, but no more animals this spring. That makes sense. Rabbits are good for breeding in the winter because they have a winter coat. They are actually much more active in the winter than in the summer. Verna says, I still have a bunch of beef fat I need to render down to tallow. That's exactly what I have. I guess it doesn't go to lard, it goes to tallow, huh? Yeah, that's exactly what I have. I've saved chicken fat off of things, but really I've just scraped it off of, like, if I do a a stock or something, and then put it in the refrigerator, and all that comes to the top. And I've just used it as that. I haven't like rendered it, and that worked. Beef tallow is great stuff too, Carolina says. Yep. JJ says, I keep the fat when we butcher a cow or pig. Even chicken fat is good. Yep. And chicken fat has a special name. Do you know the name? I know it. I'll see if you know it first, and then or if anybody says it. Without looking up Google, Steve and Verna. All right. Pig goes down to lard. Rabbit is also lard. Yeah. Pork fat is lard. Beef fat is tallow. Oh, Caroline says, enjoy the live. See y'all next time. Off to bed. Good night. Good night. Oh, you guys don't know? It's schmaltz. Schmaltz? Is that right? Schmaltz? I think that's right. Chicken fat. Rendered chicken fat. Yeah. It's Jewish. Chickens are Jewish, huh? The name is Jewish. I don't know that it's only the Jewish people who use it. Yeah. Okay, JJ's saying I've heard it before. It's Hebrew. We'll never remember that name. Schmaltz. Yeah. So Steve put the name there. Yeah, it definitely has a different flavor to it, but it's like I would say if you are used to cooking with lard from pig, you definitely be like, what is that flavor? But if you're like, oh, this is chicken fat, you're like, oh, okay, this is what this flavor is. You know, yeah, yeah. I know. I thought rabbit lard would be different, but apparently it's called lard. It took forever to try and look it up. It may somewhere have a different name, but I'm going with lard, or just saying rendered rabbit fat. Yeah. JJ says I've been called schmaltz before, or is it a schmuck? I think it's schmuck. We're not a schmuck. Yeah. I guess those are the fats, right? I don't know what goat or sheep fat might taste like, or what it's called. But yeah, as far as I know from my experience, and I will test it again with the two different kinds of fat with rabbits, is that the rabbit, the rendered rabbit lard, has a very low smoke point, so meaning it smokes quickly at a lower temperature. So I recommend using it for baked goods more than on the stovetop. So yeah. JJ says I'm half Canadian. All right. All right. Verna says smoke point of schmaltz is 375. Beef tallow has a smoke point of around 400 or higher, which makes it ideal for cooking at high temperatures. Chicken fat is really just used for flavoring. There's a lot of fat on old chickens. I don't know. Have you seen, especially if you use the skin as well, but if you've ever seen the fat on an old chicken, like Steve, you've probably seen the fat on an old quail, right? Like there can be like that much fat on the top of the thigh on that much fat on a quail. It's only this big. But chickens can have a lot of fat, especially if they've been like free ranging on a bunch of bugs. Yeah. Marissa's smoke point of lard is approximately 374 Fahrenheit. Yeah, I don't know what it is for rabbits. I just know it surprised me that it smokes so quickly. I just know it's quicker than what I was expecting. I don't have a temperature or anything. There wasn't really enough to. I was just testing it, I wasn't putting a whole thing in there. JJ says chicken fat rubbed into joints is supposed to be good, but don't go into the woods after. Bears and canines like it too. Yeah. There's a lot to be said for chicken fat in especially the skin of chickens and all of that. Steve, I know nothing of your butcher schedule. Steve says I feel singled out probably because I never butcher when I should. You know, I know nothing of your butcher schedule, so don't put that on me. I'm just saying you probably have had some old ones. And they are more flavorful. That fat is more flavorful. Now, to cook them, I mean, pressure cooking is good with older birds. That's good. Yeah. Lard is a great moisturizer. It's fat. It's what it is. Yeah. So, yeah. I was not singling you out. I just remember when I finally processed my first male. So I started with quail. I started with a breeding set. So there was 5 ladies and 1 male. One of the ladies ended up dying. I think she had a heart attack because of cat on the outside of the aviary. And there's some things I did to fix the issue there. I mean, she was still dead, but to fix the issue for future issues. And so I had them for a long time. I had them. They're the ones that hatched out the first clutch that was in the aviary. All 4 mamas sat on the nest. All 4 of them took part of that, and then one of them was the one that was actually mama after the hatching. Sat down hard on them for lockdown, and so they had their babies. I had babies in the incubator coming out and there. And so he was already, I don't even know how old he was when I got him, but I just know they were adults when I got him. I didn't have an age. I was just starting out. Wasn't really smart enough to say, oh, how many weeks are these? I just knew they were adult and they were laying. And when I processed him, he had some yellow fat on him. It was a lot of fat and it was yellow. It was really, really flavor enriched. Yeah. But he lived to the ripe old age. He was my fun male. He was the one that, sometimes in the crumbled food, sometimes there will be a full pellet. And oh boy, do they get excited. Usually they would find it and run around and be like, ha ha ha, everyone, I have this. And then they would not be the one to eat it. But in his case, he would find that and he would have it in his beak and he'd lean down like this and go like really, really soft. And he was calling his favorite lady over. He did have a favorite. She always had a bald backside, but he was a gentleman to her. And he would give her that pellet and like find little gifts for her to give her. So I encourage you guys, if you are having a bird that is being overbred, look and see how he treats her and see, you know what? Is this a relationship that she's okay with? Make your decisions from there. She was definitely his favorite. he did assist the other ones, but she was definitely his favorite. It was a good romance. All right. Verna says a smoke point of rendered rabbit fat. Oh, you did look this up. Where on earth did you find this? Because I was looking this up a couple years ago when I did it. Also known as rabbit tallow. Oh, that's interesting. You found that it's tallow. I found that it's lard. I want to know where you got that from. I'm not like challenging you. I'm just curious. Google. Well, Google. Interesting. Okay. It's $3.75. But that's on par with the other one of lard. This was not nearly that. It was like very much lower. So we'll see what happens this next one. I'll be more scientific maybe. And JJ says bacon grease makes great breakfast gravy. Bacon grease makes great dirty eggs. Yep. JJ, are you awing about my male quail? He was a gentleman. Yep. Marriage does that to you. Oh my gosh. Yeah, most of them according to Google AI. Google AI is getting worse. I don't understand how it's getting worse because AI is supposed to be better, but it needs to study a little bit. I find the answers I'm getting are not the same answers I used to get to simple things. So anyway, we're changing world and our answers are directed by St. Google. So all right, guys, it is 8:15. I did not know it was getting that late. I have enjoyed tonight's talk. Hopefully you enjoyed a little bit of kitchen time, a little bit of experiencing the cook with me's, and maybe a little jealousy from all of the marshmallows I ate and you didn't get to have. You guys can make them too. So, yeah. Let's see. Oh, we're talking Google. Let's see. JJ says, I miss the old days on Google where the searches were based on the words you typed in. Yeah, imagine that. Imagine that. Oh. Ooh. Steve's comment is calendar logically relevant. Google says that reindeer cannot fly. Amazon Alex says can fly. I don't know which to believe. Well, if you've seen the movie Prancer, you might know that one. Google got fact checked by Google, by the way. Isn't? Oh no, Amazon isn't Google. Okay. Oh, Alex, I probably shouldn't say that out loud. I don't have one of these things, and will never have one of those things. I think they're creepy, personally. Yeah. Yep. Those two names. I think they're creepy. I don't want them around me, even though I know it's on my phone and listening to me all the time anyway. Oh, I think that's Cortana or whatever. But yeah, JJ says yes, very creepy. I just think it's creepy. I don't need that. All right, guys. Thank you for coming. I'm going to sign off now, and we are talking. What are we talking? Tomorrow's video is rabbits. You guys are going to see how the fur hormone works. So there's a hormone that releases the fur, makes it easier for her to pull it out for the babies. You're going to observe. I didn't get them pulling it out, but I show you what to look for. We're going to have some sped up labor. If you watch the live, then you've seen it, the long version. And then the babies. So you guys already saw some of the babies today for the week in review, but these are the brand new babies that I'm going to show. So that is tomorrow's video, and then I don't remember what Thursday's video is. Oh, Thursday's video is back to gardening, planting the cold frame, and I actually have 2 more plants that need to go in there. Maybe tomorrow, maybe Wednesday. I don't know. I bought them over the weekend. Yep. And if anyone wants to, I might as well say this. If anybody wants to send me some things to plant in the food forest, not things that are illegal in some places. I don't need that. Then my post office box is it in here? Oh boy. Let me open this. Oh, I didn't save it on there. Anyway, it's in the description. It's in the description. Yeah. Thank you, Steve. PO Box 633. But the rest of it's down in the description. Yeah. I ordered some mushrooms, Verna. I'm trying to get off of here. Jeez, you guys keep talking. I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it. Yeah, I did order some mushrooms. I was going to order mushroom kits that you have inside too, and I just decided, with everything that I have going on, I just want to do the stuff that I want to plant, as in put stuff out in places, so I can enjoy them later, and I don't have to worry about things in these areas. So, and it's coming from Oregon to Oregon territorial seeds. Yeah. Steve said I had to change mine's name so Verna couldn't activate it anymore. That's hilarious. You can name it Santa at this time of year. Oh my gosh. All right. JJ says, thank you for the live. It was fun. Good to see you in community. Absolutely. And JJ, thank you for coming out of the shadows. We've been missing you. Oh, all right. Verna says, oh, no, I don't need to do that. No. Nope. None of that, guys. Just food. All right. Thank you for watching. I hope you had a good time. Come back Monday. I will be around Monday, 6 p.m. Pacific time for a chat. And we'll see you next time. So do something fun and come with good questions next time. Have a wonderful evening and have a wonderful night. Thanks for coming.